Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we have another Shop Talk video, and today we're going to be talking about the uprising of specialty shops, quotations, that have, kind of started popping up. And they're not new shops, they're just shops that have basically retrofitted themselves to keep up with the way automotive is going. And we're going to be talking about this today. Now, before we go ahead and begin, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, hit the subscribe button down below, smash the like button because it helps the channel out. With that said, let's go and get started on today's video. So I have been an independent mechanic for about 11 years now in my own shop. Prior to that, I worked at the dealership. Now, when I worked at the dealership, you were pretty much specialty working on one line of vehicle, like whether it was Subaru, Nissan, Mercedes, whatever the case it was. You primarily focused on that one vehicle. Now, my specialty was, at most dealers, I started off as just a one-line manufacturer guy. And as they figured out that I had experience working on every car line, they would either transition me to a used car tech, which they would ask me if I wanted to. And at a few dealerships that I worked at, I went from being, let's say, like a main Subaru tech to working, the used cars, which were all different makes and models, basically the trade-ins. So I would become the used car tech, which dealt with every single manufacturer instead of just Subaru, for example. And I've done that at a few dealerships when it paid me right and it was worth it, and some it didn't really make it any beneficial for me to go out there and stress to work on all the brands versus then the one car line, so I would simply pass on it. But what I find is happening now is that, 11 years ago, or maybe 12 now, since I opened my shop, my independent shop has taken anything and everything. You name it, it's probably been in here. I've had literal Ferraris in my shop. I've had Volkswagens, I've had Chevys, I've had Bentleys. I mean, I've worked on almost anything and everything. Now, do I like working on the expensive Bentleys and stuff? No, I do not. Liabilities, guys. But, at Chicago, there's a varying amount of cars around here. And, you work on everything. So I've worked on anything and everything. And a lot of the shops in my area, which there are quite a bit, have always been open to working on anything and everything, just like me. Well, as the last maybe 2 or 3 years, I've seen a lot of shops have become specialized. And what do I mean by specialized shops? Well, they're simply working on only certain makes and models that they want to, or they're only working on certain vehicles. And I've kind of followed a little bit of this path too. Like, I've cut down a lot, whereas if someone brings me like something like a Lamborghini or a Bentley, back in the day, I'd work on everything. Nowadays, I probably don't want to touch those cars. The liabilities on the insurance have gone up, the premiums. Getting parts for cars like that has become more of a hassle, and it's just really crazy. For what you're going to make on it and what your profit is usually not worth it. So I have kind of cut down what kind of cars I work on. Like I simply put, I have a rule in my shop, and it's not permanent. I can decide to bypass it and let one in or here or there, but I primarily don't work on cars that are older than 2005, at least here on this market. If I have two cars that are identical and one has Illinois plates and the other one has Florida plates and they're the same age, I am more inclined to work on the Florida car because it hasn't lived in a rust, battlefield for, let's say 10, 15 years or whatever the case might be, how old it is, versus the cars that live in Chicago. So that car is not going to be easy to work on if it even exists. Usually the car's rotted out by then. You can't do anything to them. So there's a little amendment to my rules, but I don't work on cars that are really older than 2005. Before I give out any estimate on any car, and literally, unless it's like 3 years old, I will tell people, you need to come into the shop, I need to look at it. Even if it's a simple brake job, I want to look at your car. I want to make sure you still have a frame to grab onto, make sure it's not rotted away, or make sure your car isn't rusted and seized to crap where you can't even remove a brake caliper pin without breaking it. So my market dictates this, but I'm still open to almost every car manufacturer, depending on what it is. But a lot of shops in the area become specialized in the sense of, hey, we only want to work on Nissan, or we're only working on Subarus. And that's just how it is nowadays. The reason being is that it costs a lot to keep up with every single car out there. It's kind of like keeping up with the Joneses, if anyone knows that term, where if you try to keep up with every single car manufacturer and have every single tool, like for example, filling a transmission on a Nissan can vary a lot from a Volkswagen. You would need probably two specialty different types of tools or pumps to fill up those transmissions between the two manufacturers. Sorry, I had to cut the clip there. My phone's ringing. But Yeah, it's hard to keep up with every single manufacturer. Certain car brands require specialty tools you can only use on those specific models, and those tools cost money. Now, it's not always like, just the money factor. Sometimes it's also do you do enough of those cars to justify buying that tool for one time or two times, or buying it and letting it sit on a shelf? I've kind of been through this. Like recently, I had a vehicle in here. It was a Ford F-250 with a 6-liter diesel. It had a issue with hot starts. After you start it up, it wouldn't start up. Very common high pressure oil leak somewhere. Like in the H-pop unit, or the dummy plugs, or I forget what they're called. They're like the little rods that go in there. I forget what they're called. I just literally just did it, but I had to buy a tool. Now the tool wasn't expensive. I went on Amazon. It was the IPR air pressure testing tool, where basically you put air pressure through the high pressure oil system and you find where your leaks are. Now the tool was like under $100 on Amazon. And what I told the customer was like, hey, if you want me to work on this, I'm capable of doing it, but I don't have this tool. If you buy the tool, or I'm gonna charge you extra $100 so I can buy the tool, and that tool's gonna be mine in the end, unless you want it back. But I need a specialty tool. And the guy was like, you know what? I don't care, Mike. You're gonna be working on my truck, so in the future, if I have an issue, like here's the $100. Buy the tool, keep it. I don't want it. I just want you to be able to work on it. So the guy paid for the tool, or I basically told him what was up, because I would never use that tool again. Like if any other F-250 rolled in here, if it wasn't that specific guy, because I've known him for a while, he's a good customer of mine, I would have just simply said, sorry, I can't work on it because I don't have the tool for it. I know that might seem dumb to everyone, but sometimes it's just not worth it, to go out, buy the tool to work on the car. If you wind up doing that, you're going to find out that you're going to need to buy a whole other shop just to keep your equipment and your tools, because you're going to have so much, and your profitability is going to probably be crap. Now, $100 every now and then is not going to hurt you, but there's some tools that cost money. Like there's some adapters and stuff for filling up transmissions that you got to have like a different type or different style or different things. They cost a couple $100 a piece. It never ends. There's always some sort of specialty tool. So what I find what a lot of shops are doing is they're specializing in, let's say, Nissan. They're purchasing all the stuff that's required to work on all these Nissans, whether it's a specialty tool or non-specialty tool, and it's just better for them because they have everything they need to work on that car line, nothing to order, no extra tools to buy this or that, and as soon as something comes out, they buy it, they have it, and they're able to service the next model year and so on. It's just the shift that's going on in today's world now. There's always been specialty shops. There's one that only does European. There's ones that only do Japanese and domestic. Like there's always been some specialty ones. There's even been ones that just cover like Hondas. Like here in Chicago, there's actually a shop here on the north side that just does Honda and Acura vehicles, and they're not affiliated with Honda or Acura. They buy all their parts from the dealer, and they only service Honda Acuras. That's all they specialize in, and it goes back from like the 80s all the way up to current model years, and that's what they do. That's always been a thing, but now it's become more of a thing because independent shops like mine just simply can't keep up. I hate to admit this on camera, but there are some jobs that I refuse, like on a monthly basis, and it's usually newer cars, not the older cars, but there will be someone in here that comes in that says, hey, like I want to do, let's say, a timing chain on this Land Rover or this Mercedes, and I got to buy a timing set, a tool set to be able to do, let's say, certain chains on these engines. And I just weigh it out, like the cost of the tools, the profitability of the job, how often am I going to use it? Am I ever going to use it again after this car? This and that. Sometimes it just comes out to be that if I took on that job, I wouldn't really make that much more than doing, let's say, 2 brake jobs or 3 brake jobs. And to me, instead of ripping apart that whole engine and dealing with that aggravation, a lot of you may say, Mike, you're not a real mechanic because you can't do it or this or that. It's not the case. It's not that I can't do it. It's just like, would you want to stress out over a complicated timing chain, or just do 3 brake jobs and make the same amount of money? I'll tell you what, I could do those 3 brake jobs. If it's, let's say, only front axles, I can do most front brakes within 45 minutes to, let's say, 20 minutes, depending on the car setup. So think about it. Making the same amount of money as you would on 3 or 4 brake jobs that you would do on a timing chain. And a timing chain has a lot of stress, a lot of headaches, and a lot of potential for failure, versus the brakes are pretty straightforward. Take a pick. Now, a lot of the time, I will say I am declining certain jobs here because my shop is small. I don't have a flat stall. My shop space that I work on vehicles is probably like 400 square feet or 500 square feet, and the rest of my footage is office space for waiting room and things like that. Very small shop, so I can't really sit here and take every heater core job, every engine replacement, every transmission job. Most of the time, if you bring me like a Chevy with a Ecotec motor 2.2, they have timing chain issues, I would tell people, you know what, it's just probably better for you to just buy a whole new engine. I could drop a new engine in it than trying to do the timing chains on it, especially if it has some miles. Like, it's just a better result, because the money that you would pay to do the timing chains, if you add a little bit more on top of that, you could just get a whole new engine, if that makes sense, or a used good engine. Just the way stuff's going nowadays. Now, every shop has different things. I have space limitations. I have to, two-bay shops have to keep cars like in and out, and now you gotta basically get them in, fix them, get them out, get the next one in, keep going. I can't tie myself to a 5-day project of, rebuilding a transmission or ripping apart an engine to do chains and this and that, because I'm gonna miss out on what I like to call the cake work, like brake jobs and suspension jobs that'll, if I do 2-3 of those, will pay equally as much as the complicated hair pulling, stressing me out job would. So it just makes more sense that certain things have to get denied. But now with the newer wave of cars and the specialty tools and this and that, it just adds another layer on top of that. So there's a lot of more specialty shops out there. So if you have a mechanic that one day you go to them and you find out that they decided to switch roles to being I only work on this product line or this car line, don't be surprised. And to be honest with you, not many are even doing this. A lot of them are just kind of closing their doors and saying, see you later, automotive. And I will say this, and then we will talk about this, I like being informative with everyone on here. That thought has crossed my mind as well, but that's a whole other video that we're gonna have to make, and I'll probably put out shortly eventually. But automotive is getting very difficult, and the one thing that I will say, and this has been my line, people think they're driving or actually let me rephrase this. People bring me modern cars nowadays, and I see this all the time. They drive a 2025, let's say Ford, that has a lot of complicated systems and advancements and things like that. So they're driving a 2024, 2025 vehicle. They want the prices for parts to be like the vehicle was made in 2000s, and they want the labor charges to reflect the price cost of the 1990s. It's never going to be that way, guys. Like, customers ask a lot of us. I can't tell you how many customers come in here and they drive a 2023 vehicle, let's say out of warranty. They have a check engine light on, and I tell them, hey, you got to pay for the diagnostic. And like, what do you mean, what do I got to pay for a diagnostic? I'm like, you expect my, $7,000 Autel scanner to hook up to your car for free, and you're driving a $100,000 vehicle when it was new, and now it's out of warranty, and you need repairs, and you just expect me to do that? I'll pull my hair out with all these modern computer systems and figuring this out, figuring that out for free? No. That's the other thing. That's where a lot of shops are going to get a lot of hate. Like, I charge for everything. That's it. You may agree with it, disagree with it, but every diagnosis that comes in, I charge for it. The only thing that I don't charge for, and this is always going to be a thing, if it takes me 15 minutes or less, and usually things like a quick light bulb or, like wiper blades or something like that, stuff like that, normally I just give away. I don't really care. I'll just pop them on. As a matter of fact, I just did a car earlier today that they just came in here for an oil change, and even oil changes are not really profitable. They really haven't been profitable. They're more just like a revenue driver to get people in here so you can inspect their cars and maybe the only brakes or something. But oil prices are up. It's hard to make any money on oil. Like, trust me, like, oil doesn't make money. And when I say you can barely make any money on it, like, it's getting bad. Like, that's how far up the oil prices are. And on top of that, like, you're doing I did an oil change, barely making any money on it. Got some wiper blades that they wanted. Sold them some really nice, fancy flex beam wiper blades that I practically give away almost as well. And I put them on for free. So stuff like that's like 15 minutes or less, not really going to kill me. Like, even light bulbs. I know some shops go crazy. They'll charge you like $50 to replace a rear brake light bulb. 99% of the time I just tell the customer, just buy the bulb and I'll pop it in if it takes me less than like 10 minutes. But if it involves lifting your car up or dismantling a bumper or going through this and that, normally there will be a charge. But cars are not what they used to be, guys. Do not go to your mechanic driving a modern day vehicle, let's say a 2025, expecting to pay the prices of the early 2000s for parts and then expecting your mechanics labor rate to be reflective of the 90s prices. Just not feasible, never realistic. So don't do that. It's a real way to piss off a mechanic. So this video is kind of dragging on. I'm kind of getting into a whole other thing here now, so I'm going to leave it at that. Like always, comment, like, and subscribe because it helps the channel grow. I hope everyone has a wonderful day, and I'll catch you on the next video.